hello, and welcome back to another one of my beautiful videos. Now, you may have seen my previous video where I went over all the top tier tanks, premium tanks. However, I decided that, you know what, I'll go over all of the air premiums as well because I am stupid and I have bought most of them, unfortunately. So let's dive right in. So I'll just be going through every like rank 7 and 8, so you can grind the entire tech tree if you would like. I'll just be going nation by nation, so let's start with the US here. So the F5C used to be phenomenal when it was 10.3, and now it's kind of a joke of a vehicle to be honest, because the F5E exists. So if you would like the F5C, but with more engine power, better missiles, and a radar, um, and I guess technically 20 less flares, um, yeah, I mean, I think the F5E is just a clear upgrade. At 11.0, the F5C doesn't struggle per se, but what's always nice about the F5C was that it was kind of just busted for its BR, and if you got the down tiers, it was great. Now the up tiers are kind of the same. You still face F4S Phantoms in your up tiers, but your down tiers are nowhere near as juicy. And because the F5E exists at 11.0, the F5C is kind of a dead vehicle in my opinion. Um, so yeah, the A60 Tram. This vehicle, it's not really a fighter jet, but it's nice because I mean I have it mostly for cash. That's the primary reason I bought it. But it does have a decent ARB loadout where you can go 3 M9Ls, and then you have a gun pod and also 60 flash by default. I see some people that like to run 2 M9Ls and extra countermeasures. They have 300 countermeasures, but I don't really think any more than 60. To be honest, not in trading an M9L off anyway. So for 10.7, 3 M9Ls, that's pretty nice. And this is definitely a lot more flyable than something like an A10. But I still wouldn't really recommend it. Now, when it comes to F4S, very different story in my opinion. I think this is a phenomenal vehicle. It's basically just a better F4J, and the F4J is again better than the F4J like UK, which are all the same BR. I think this is honestly kind of a pay-to-win vehicle. You get helmet mounted display, you get just your AIM 7Fs, you get good missiles, and I mean, come on, you get helmet mounted displays and decent flight performance. It's not great, but with the Agile Eagle and whatnot, it's pretty good. Um, I mean, I really love using this vehicle. I personally like to run 5 M7Fs, and that works really well for me. You can go 4-4. Technically, by going 5-2, you're trading away a missile, like an IR missile for a radar missile, or 2 IR missiles for a radar missile, which I think is a fine trade because this is, I mean, in my opinion, this is a wonderful vehicle for head-ons. You have helmet mounted displays. You just kind of click on your enemies, shoot your missile like 10 to 3 kilometers, and they're dead. That's really all there is to it. And it can do it 5 times, and you can also shoot 2 people twice in the back with your missiles, and only then you have to use the gun. Um, I really like this vehicle. I think the F4S is a really great grinder. You can get the whole tech tree. I think it's fun to fly. Maybe not for everyone, but yeah, I really like it. Then the F20 Tiger Shark. This used to be one of my favorite vehicles when it first came out, when it was like 12.0. But that was when 12.0 was constantly getting down tiers into 11.3. And sometimes, although very rarely, you would see 12.3. Back when 12.7 was the max BR. Now there's Fox trees, and at 12.7 you can get up tiered into 13.7. And if you get up tiered into 13.7, this plane is just kind of dead. It's not fun at 13.7. You just get AMRAM spammed. I kind of stopped playing it for that reason. Although if you do get your 12.7 games or you get your down tiers, you know, it's fun. It's a fun vehicle. It's basically an F5 that has a massive jacked up engine and better missiles. Yeah, people used to say it was a worse F16, but now it has lower BR than the ADFs, right? They're like, so you can carry the radar missiles at 12.7 instead of 13.0. But yeah, I don't love it just because you can get those up tiers and those up tiers are really painful. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend. I would advise against buying the F20 Tiger Striker now, especially because the FRS exists, and the FRS is just so phenomenal that if you want to grind the US tech tree, FRS is a great premium for that. Germany is one of the tech trees I've played the least, but I have played both of these vehicles. You can see I played it at least a decent bit. But yeah, so you got two options here. You either go Tornado IDS, which isn't a great fighter jet. You get two AIM-9Ls, um, and kind of bad flight performance. But where this jet shines is that it has a stupid bomb load. So I like to run either 5 or 12 bombs. 5 is enough for one base, so I'll bomb like on the first run. I'll bomb a base, try and find someone on my way back with my M9Ls. If I can't find them, then the second time around I'll go in with 12 bombs, and then you can get 2 bases and a bit. And I mean, I guess if that's how you want to play the game, it's a very consistent play to grind. I don't think this is the most fun. I don't think you'll learn a lot from it. The flight performance is not great. It's not a good fighter jet, but it's a very consistent grinder because it's a good bomb load. It did recently get nerfed, so you have to slow down to drop your bombs. So if you have like a lot of TAFs in your team, like the F104S Turkish Air Force variant, like the premium, you are gonna get your bases stolen. So yeah, that kind of sucks. MiG 21 on the other hand, I don't mind this jet. It's a fun jet. You can carry 6 missiles. I like to run 2 R13s and then also go 2 R60s on both sides, or 1 R13 and 2 R60s on both sides. And yeah, so you have the aspect potential, and you also have some good rear aspect missiles. Um, I don't know. The only problem for me is that you do frequently get up there, especially now that the Iranian Tomcat was released. Everyone's spamming 12.3, so you constantly see up tiers. And in a full up tier, this plane doesn't feel great. It's still good, don't get me wrong, but I don't like playing it primarily because in China you have the J7E, which is, in my opinion, just a better MiG 21, and it's also the lower BR, so you can't even see. You can't even see the Tomcats, the F-14s. So yeah, I don't know. That's kind of why I haven't been playing this one a lot. It's a fine vehicle if you want to grind Germany really bad. I don't know why you would, because there's really nothing here. But if you want Germany really bad, the Mate 21 is a decent plane if you like to play a fighter jet playstyle, as opposed to the Tornado, which really is just brain dead bombing. So yeah, make your own choice there. This one is more consistent. But this one is definitely more fun to fly if you're not like AFK on a Steam Deck, which I sometimes like to do. So for Russia, you have a few options again. Mate 23 ML. It's a good plane. It's lower than the Phantoms now, and that's because they kind of fucked with the flight performance and then also with the radar. So if you don't know, the radar is kind of inconvenient here because it likes to switch between MTI, which is kind of like like similar to pulse Doppler in a way, and normal search mode. And if it's in normal search mode, it's very easy to lock onto like chaff or whatever. Um, if you're already locked onto the target and switch to the chaff, don't worry, your missile will still hit. It does reject chaff, but it's kind of inconvenient to get a lock with it, which tempts you to use the R27 or R24Ts instead, as opposed to R24Rs. The R24Ts are fine missiles, but I don't know. The Mi 23 just doesn't really appeal to me because it's not great at anything. It's kind of just a fine plane. It's yeah. I don't know. I don't love it. But maybe you do. You can test fly it. I don't know. I wouldn't recommend it. But then again, I definitely also would recommend the Su-39. Um, it does have two good missiles. You have an R-73, which is a very good missile, and then the R-60M, which are the same like the Mate 21 that we've seen there. So they're both all aspect. R-73s are pretty much guaranteed kills if you launch them correctly. Also cool is that you do get a radar pod, which you don't get on the Tech Tree variant. However, yeah, the Su-39 is definitely not a fighter jet. It has a very low top speed. You can't go, you're subsonic. And at 11.7, that's not great. You are saved by having like a lot of countermeasures, and you also have like a IRCM. So yeah, like you have like an electronic countermeasure system where if someone launches ringers back, there's a really good chance that your missile will just miss because they can't get a proper lock, or even if they do get a proper lock, it's likely to be lost. It has like a electron system behind it where you can't lock it very easily, like you'll see on some helicopters. So that's cool. I think it's fun to fuck around with, but I don't think it's a good plane. Um, SU-25K, definitely a better plane because it's a more convenient BR. You also get two R60Ms, so same missile as this, except you don't get the R73s, which the R73s are what make this jet specials. Or so yeah, that's fair enough. Um, but yeah, I don't think this is a great option. It's very like very slow plane. You can't really bomb bases. You kind of just have to look for flareless planes and then ruin them. But if someone gets behind you, you're not going to be able to out dogfight them. Um, I don't love it. It's definitely better than like the A10 that you get in the US tree, but I don't know. Mate 20 on S on the other hand, I think that is a very fun plane. Doesn't get flares at 9.7, which is I mean it takes getting used to. And you also don't have good IR missiles with the R2Ss, which are basically like slightly worse M9Bs. But you do have the R3Rs, which are really fun to play around with. I often run just four radar missiles, and it's not because it's the most optimal setup, but I really like going high, shooting people down, dodging missiles kinetically because you're kind of forced to, right? I don't know. I think it's a fun vehicle for that. It's definitely fun to mess around with. I think it also gets boring pretty quickly if you do play it too much. But yeah, if you had to pick the most consistent plane, we'll probably make 23. Um, Although if you want to do silly stuff, make 21S and SU-39 are both pretty good. When we move to Great Britain, so this is the first one I won't have. I think there's one, maybe two other planes I don't have. The MiG-21 Bison is what I'm referring to there. This is a cool plane. It's basically a MiG-21 bis, but it gets helmet-mounted display, which is very convenient. You get R73s, and then R27 R1s. Um, so yeah, I think this is a very. I mean, I want this plane. It looks very very fun. Um, but it is a full BR higher than the MiG-21 bis, so it's definitely not 12.3 flight performance. Um, but yeah, I think that the missiles that it gets, especially the R73s, are very good. They're fun to mess around with, and because you also have some radar missile capabilities, unlike the MiG-21 bis, I mean that technically has radar missiles as well, but it's the same one that we saw at the 9.7 plane, right? So you don't really want to use those. So if you want to have usable radar missiles and really good IR missiles, the MiG-21 Bison does seem like a very fun plane. I'll probably get it at some point in the future. Um, but yeah. Uh, then we have the F4J UK. Now I mentioned this already because this is compared to the F4S, uh, so much worse. The only thing that it gets is it gets a Vulcan instead, and the Vulcan is nice, but it's not worth trading off what you lose. So what you lose is you get worse IR missiles, you get worse radar missiles, and you lose the helmet mounted display. And what makes the F4S really really fun is the fact that it gets helmet mounted display. That just makes it a monster. In like yeah, just when you fly straight towards the enemy, it becomes really fun. You can easily hug the deck, and you can yeah, you can just kind of click on people and they die, and that's really fun. It's really easy. It's very friendly, like to like also newer players, I feel. And you lose out on that. Oh, and you also get worse flight performance. So you're trading worse flight performance for no helmet mounted or worse flight performance and no helmet mounted display, worse missiles, both IR and radar, for a Vulcan gun pod. It is not worth your while, especially when you're consider that Phantoms have a lot of missiles, so you don't really need to use your guns a whole lot. Yeah, so this is, I mean, it's an emo plane, although it's very playable still, because I mean, Phantoms are just really good. As long as you set your radar on the right modes, you can get radar kills quite easily. But it's definitely just so much worse than the FRS. So yeah, if you're a more experienced player that's like, I want to try the UK Tech Tree, I would still advise you to go for the Bison. But if you want a real challenge, you can go for the F4J UK, and it'll be fun. It'll be fun. The plane's all right. Okay, then we get to Japan, and we have what is perhaps the most emo premium in the game. So I mentioned how the F4J UK was kind of a worse FRS. The F4EJ is kind of a worse F4E. So you also get worse flight performance, you get worse radar missiles, and for that you trade absolutely nothing at the same BR. So you're just a worse F4E. Um, this used to be really, really sad as a plane because you were able to see F-16s. Now, as you can see, F-16 13.0, maybe 12.7. This is 11.3, so you can no longer see F-16s. Back when I was grinding with this one and getting the Japanese tech tree, um, yeah, it was not fun. It was a very depressing jet, and you could see F-16s, and you did see F-16s all the time. Right now, it's a much more favorable BR, which makes it a more flyable plane. So if you really want the Japanese tech tree, I mean, either you have to go for the squadron vehicle and like I guess this or yeah one of these premiums, um, or you have to fly an F4EJ anyway because the F4EJ EDTW and F4GA Phantom 2, I mean they're the same thing. This is just a special variant which has a cool camo. That's it. So yeah, I mean, if you want to grind it really quickly, you'll probably be forced to play the F4EJ ADTW, which is not a good plane by any means. But at least now you can't see F-16s and it's sort of flyable. Now the other plane I don't have is the J7D, and the reason for that is because the J7D um, is technically not a straight downgrade from the uh, J7E because it has PL7s, which are magic ones. However, most people prefer to use the PL5s because the PL5s are very funny missiles that go very fast. So you can just, if you get a nice rear aspect launch, people are often just dead because it's too fast and they don't have time to react. So you end up using the same missile in both planes, and then this just has better flight performance. Yeah. Um, so yeah, this had better engine, better flight performance. This is a worse engine. Technically, you have a second type of missile that you can use. But I would recommend personally what I did is to buy the A5C. This is a very consistent grinder. You can go for bases. You have your magic ones. Um, so use your magic ones to get 2 kills with them. It's pretty easy at 10-3 to get 2 kills with your magic ones. And then once you get to rank 7, you can talisman your J7E. Maybe if you want to continue bombing really badly, you can use the Q5L as well. This is a kind of similar to the A5C, but it's at 9-3, even though it's a rank above it. So you can grind out the full tech tree at 9-3 if you really want to. So yeah, if you like brain out bombing, you can talisman this. If you want to finally get into fighting jets, you can go into J7E. Although honestly, the J7D is not that bad of a plane, because it's at a good BR where you get down tiers pretty commonly, and the scariest thing you can face in it is an F4 like an FRS, right? You can't fight F14s like you can with the MiG-21 BIS. So in my opinion, this does probably feel a bit better than the MiG-21 BIS. Although take that with a grain of salt because I've only played J7E, which in my opinion is just a busted plane. This is a really fun plane. Um, J7D is kind of a worse J7E, at least if you play it the way that I did, which is with the PL5Bs. But I mean, it's up to you ultimately, right? Um, All right, then we get to Italy. Ooh, oh yeah, this is another plane I don't technically have because they added it recently. But don't worry, the 11.3 vehicle is horrible. So you have the 10.7 vehicle, which is the same, right? These are two identical vehicles, except slight changes. So you might wonder, oh, this is 2 BR steps higher. What does it get? Well, this gets 2 AIM-9Ls, right? AIM-9Ls, very well-known missile. This gets a unique missile. Must be very broken, you ask, right? Like the Piranha missile. And sure, it does have a 45G overload, but it also is very short range. And at least from what I'm told, it doesn't seem like it's either it's not really worth the upgrade at all, like it's not even better, or if it is better, it is like a tiny bit better. Definitely not 2 BR steps. Um, like with this plane, you can't even fight like the good Phantoms, like the 12.0 Phantoms. Uh, this plane you can fight F-14s, and you see Phantoms almost all the time, as well as F-14s almost all the time. So yeah, would you like pretty nice down tiers? And if you get up there, it's not all that bad. Or would you like, I mean, best case scenario, your plane is flyable. Worst case scenario, you are just getting dogged on. Your subsonic at 11.3, no, it's not fun. This is not flyable. I would advise very strongly against buying this vehicle. What I wouldn't advise strongly against though is the F104S TAF. This used to be not that good because it was 11.0 would see up there to 12.0 all the time. Just every 11.0 plane was pretty sad for that reason, especially the 83W like I mentioned earlier. But now especially 11.3, holy hell, you are fast as fuck. You have enough of a bomb load to get a base if you run this setup. You do trade 2 AIM-9Ps, but you still have 4 AIM-9Ps and you have a bomb load. And you can always get there first because you're the fastest plane and you don't have to slow down to use your bomb load. The F4S, Turkish Air Force, I mean, it's the same one as this one, right? But the F4S, holy hell, or F104S, I should say, not the F4S, F104S is a really, really good plane now. I enjoy it. You're fast as fuck. Don't try and dogfight people, but you can just get your base bomb. Like yeah, just bomb on base, turn around, and you'll be able to get behind people very quickly because your plane is just that fast. And they often not even notice that you're behind them, so you can pick up like 2 or 3 kills. Then I mean you can either dogfight people or well not really. You want to head on them, but and yeah, or you could just go back. You can try and catch people from behind. But yeah, there's this plane very consistent grind. You can always get a base because you're just the fastest guy, no matter what. Um, so yeah, I think this is a phenomenal grinder. Not necessarily the most fun plane. It's very static, but this is not an alternative that you want to play. Trust me, it is awful. France, it looks like I don't have the plane, but I do because I have it in a tech tree. And I also gave my friend this when he wanted to start a new tech tree. So I know what it's like to fly, and even though I haven't flown it myself all too much, but basically the plane is, I mean you have a fuck ton of countermeasures, right? So you almost have 200. Your plane is decently fast. You technically have a bomb load if you really want to. Your radar missiles aren't good because they like to eat chaff. They love chaff. Every morning they wake up and they think about chaff. But your IR missiles are phenomenal. If you're behind someone within like 2 kilometers, uh, I mean they're kind of just dead. That's really all there is to it. You can also try and like short range front aspect people because they have good enough overload and people tend to not react to it. But yeah, these are definitely, even though they're all aspect missiles, use them rear aspect, use them in like 2 kilometers, 1.5 kilometers, even 1 kilometer range. They're just 2 free kills every game. And then the other 3 missiles, I mean, you can either run some radar missiles, but then if someone has chaff, they get one chaff, or you could go for the IR variants, the R50, R530Es. These are not good missiles. They're very slow, low overload, but um, you get 2 guaranteed kills and then 3 missiles that maybe uh, yeah, result in something. So that's really what it is. Um, yeah, I think it's a really good plane. Yeah, I would recommend it. If you get the Melania store, it's also good. It's good grinding, but it's brain net bombing. That's really all it is because no flares. AIM-9B are your best missiles. So if you like fighter jets, the F1C 200 is a great pickup for France. Then we get to Sweden. You only have one choice. This is the J35XS. I This is a very interesting plane. You have one gun that's not centered and shoots pretty slowly. Um, you get only 6 flare pops because you have um, you have 12 flares, but they pop 2 at a time. Yeah, you do have six RB24Js, which are basically A9Js though. So and they're very fast. Plus your platform is pretty good. Um, I don't know. It's certainly a plane, but I wouldn't say it's better than like a MiG 20 on BIS or something. When it was 10.7, this was a phenomenal jet that I really love to play, but I haven't really played it at 11.3. There's also not really much point to me because I have the Swedish tech tree already fully grinded. But yeah, I would say like a Mate 20 on BIS is a better plane. But I guess if you want Sweden, you only have this option, and it's not too bad. Then we get to Israel. Israel is definitely kind of similar to Sweden in that they had a really good 10.7, but then it got up there to 11.3, which means that the down tiers aren't as juicy anymore. Um, but it's still a good plane. It's very fast. It has also good bomb loads. Um, it has two M9Gs, which are okay, but not the best missiles. Um, yeah, and that's kind of where it lacks the most, I would say, is just in the fact that it has only 2 missiles, but it's still going to be a consistent grinder, just because it has the bomb load, right? So you can get one base every game. It's kind of similar as if you had like 1.5 kills, and this can do that pretty consistently. So yeah, that'll be all. Let me know if you have any more questions, and thank you for watching.